What is up, everybody?
What's going on?
I am JP.
And I'm Ryan.
And we are your CineNerds.
All right. We got to work on that unison.
Well, it takes practice. So, what did I make you watch today?
Actually, made me watch a really, really good film. So, JP, what did you choose is the question.
This week, I chose one of my all-time favorite films, The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing.
And I can understand why it's one of your favorites. It's got some very... John Carpenter outdid himself on this one, in my opinion, just because of the way he set this up and the way that things move along.
Well, he leaves you questioning...
A lot.
And he won't answer those questions to this day.
I'm going to let you guys know this because I have no problems admitting this. So this is where I'm going to be leaning on JP to fill in a lot of the void here for me. A lot of unanswered questions. I have not seen this movie since 1992 and then again last night. So over 30 years. So I'm really, really, really like... Holy shit, my mind is like, because now as an adult, like you see that when you're a kid and it's one thing, but when you see it as an adult and you have your movie critiquing and movie minded mindset, you're looking at everything differently. You're looking at everything in different ways you never thought of as a kid. And holy shit, there's a lot to pick up, a lot to take in. So I need to watch this a couple more times too. So
yeah, is that your first impressions?
First impressions are the two most interesting things. I didn't know we were going to directly do first impressions, so I'll just lean into that. The two most interesting things about this movie are, and it's going to be hard for me not to skip to the end when we're talking about this, but it is the organism, the thing itself, and the ending. The ending, holy shit. This is one of those movies that it's almost like going back to Die Hard, where like, is it a Christmas movie? Is it not? And the thing is like, was McCready the thing or not? And like, there's a lot of fan theory out there.
There's a lot of fan theories, and I also have my own. Oh. I have my own.
Well, I've got a few myself right now, so we'll dive into that.
Okay, so first impressions. Like you, I watched this. Well, you said you watched it in 92. I watched it in the 80s at some point, and I was way too young to appreciate this film in the 80s. Now, I love John Carpenter films in the 80s, but this was not one of them. Like I loved Big Trouble in Little China. I loved Halloween. It was later into the 90s when I revisited The Thing, and really just what they call his Apocalypse trilogy, which is The Thing, Prince of Darkness, and Mouth of Madness. Even though they don't have anything to do with each other than they all end on a kind of an apocalyptic note. Is why they call it his apocalyptic trilogy.
That tracks after watching that last night. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and in the 90s, I rewatched what they call that trilogy, and I fell in love with Prince of Darkness. I absolutely fell in love with The Thing. Mouth of Madness, I can take it or leave it. I do enjoy it, but that's one I can take or leave it.
Both those films are. I think I left a lot in the 80s and 90s because I haven't watched either of those films since then as well. Yeah. So,
and I just revisited Prince of Darkness this week.
We were talking about this. You told me, yeah.
So yeah. After I rediscovered The Thing in the 90s, I fell in love with this movie, and it became definitely within my top 5 films of all time, and it is my favorite horror film of all time.
So for me, I put this in the event horizon category, so sci-fi horror. So yeah, that's got to have its own genre to me.
I think if you were to say horror in general or sci-fi horror, it's still going to be number one for me.
Okay.
So,
all right. So what we have is a team that's in Antarctica. Well, sorry, we open the movie with a very cheesy start. We'll just say that. It's misleading right off the rip. I don't know if it's animation or whatever form of CGI they had at the time. UFO flies in through our atmosphere, crashes on the planet, and then fast forward about 100,000 years is what they referenced in the movie.
Yeah, it's roughly 100,000. And actually in the prequel reboot,
which I didn't see, so don't give me too much on that one.
I won't give too much, but they actually have a paleontologist that comes in and actually dates it to 100,000 years.
Okay. But here comes McCready. Oh, about 100,000 years. I'm just looking at the ice depth, and that's kind of funny. So yeah, it crashes, lands 100,000 years later. There is an American team that is doing a I don't know what's the purpose of their post.
They're just a science.
I don't think I ever caught.
Yeah,
what
they're basically just like scientists and people that are stationed in Antarctica. It's just a science station.
I will say this: I like that it's left that you don't know. I like that there's a lot of things happening off camera in this movie, such as pretty much everyone who gets infected. In the process at which they get infected. So when those things are all happening, including some of these things that are left, you're left to wonder and you're left to imagine these things, and I appreciate that. It's one of the things Carpenter does well.
Yeah. There's really nobody you see get turned in this movie, which adds to the paranoia in this film, because you don't, just like they don't know, you don't know.
The only one who I am having a little bit of a brain fart with was the doc. Did he turn after he got his arms chewed up?
No.
Okay.
No, he died, and I believe they burned those bodies too. They burned those bodies, but no, he did not turn. But the patient he was working on,
clearly,
obviously
from that scene. But yeah,
now the other doctor, obviously, that was played by what's his name, Wilton Brimley, or the diabetes guy.
Oh yeah, Wilford,
yeah.
Blair.
Yeah.
His character's name. I definitely have my phone on, I'm not going to lie, because 30 years between watches, keeping up with some of the characters' names was a little bit of difficulty. But essentially, some events start unfolding. They seem like they're comfortable. They're in the process. They're getting ready to deal with the Antarctic winter that's coming. So they're kind of like prepping for that. All of a sudden, they're focused on, and I don't know about the dog part, but there's a dog that's running across this large chunk of snow. A man in a helicopter is flying above it, and he's trying to shoot at the dog to kill it. We don't know why at this time. Maybe he's batshit, maybe he's crazy, but it starts moving forward. And do you know, was that definitely one of the dogs from their camp, or was it one from the Norwegian camp?
It's one from the Norwegian.
So it was coming over from the Norwegian camp, and he was following it. Okay.
And I'm not going to go into too many plot points with the prequel, because you've not seen it. However, what I will say is the dog does come from the Norwegian camp.
Okay.
And they are chasing it because they know
that it's infected.
Okay. Now, I had read at one point, and it's been a few years ago that I read this, but somebody actually translated what the Norwegian people were yelling to the Americans. And I can't remember exactly what they translated it to, but from the best of my memory, it was basically, "That's not a dog. It's not a dog. It's something else. Stay away from it."
So they were coming off as crazy, no matter how you spun it, to people who had no idea what was going on. But this is an interesting sequence of events that happens right into this. So, because it kind of picks up relatively fast. The dog approaches the Americans, and when he approaches the Americans, something happens before the gunfire starts happening. And that was as an interesting point, which is going to lead towards some of my ideas in the ending. The dog jumps up on, I forgot which member of the crew, but he starts licking his glove. It's the first guy who turns.
Yeah.
I'm referencing here. Let's see. Bennings.
Yeah.
He jumps up and he licks the glove of Bennings. And since this organism, alien life, whatever it is, spreads like basically a contagion, it's now licked his glove. So that was the first thing that popped in my head. And that was when I got midway through the movie, and I'm thinking about how this all moves along, and oh my God, he licked his glove.
Well, basically, what happens is the thing absorbs and assimilates basically. It doesn't leave their body. It's not like it copies them and drops the old body off. it basically reassimilates that body with alien DNA is what happens. So you're not wrong in thinking that. And there's also a line in there where, and this is more midway through the movie, where the one guy's talking to McCready and he tells him, we shouldn't drink after each other. We shouldn't
eat, and we should only eat canned items.
Exactly.
Now that's where this next sequence comes in, though. For me, that goes a little crazy. So, the Norwegian's helicopter has crashed. The guy is shooting at. They think he's shooting at them. He's shooting at the dog. In his firing, he shoots Bennings in the leg, and in that moment, first thing that McCready does is he runs over, make sure he's okay, and he hands him his J&B whiskey. And so the J&B whiskey is instantly drank by Bennings, which he's holding with the glove that the dog has licked. So that was kind of where I already started like going in my head, like, okay, all right, this could be.
You're diving into my theory. Now.
Okay,
you're diving into my theory. So
all right. Oh no, I don't. We'll say I'm saving stuff till the end. Not going to do this. Anyways, I like to jump ahead, especially with this one. This one, like the meat and potatoes of the whole theories, like really are those last two standing people. So
you realize real quick that the Norwegians are not. They inadvertently shoot them, but after he falls, he's still chasing the dog. He walks past the Americans, but then the captain or whatever, the main guy that's running the camp, comes out with his pistol and shoots him in the head. So they really don't know what is happening at this point. And
they know nothing at this point. Everything's business as usual from the American side.
And they never find out because the Norwegians are dead.
But from there, though, this instigates, okay, we got to see if this guy went crazy and he started hurting his peers and the Norwegians are in trouble, we got to go check on him. So the doc, I think, is it Blair and McCready, right?
It's McCready, Blair, and isn't the other guy, what's his name? You got the IMDb up there. Scroll up. No, it's the other way. No, right there.
Oh, shit.
T.K. Carter.
Knowles.
I think he goes with them as well.
Okay. Well, the only people go in the facility, though.
Yeah, I think there's 3 of them there, but they're all walking around.
Sorry, I just kicked them.
But yeah, the doc is there as well.
So they go in. There's a door. First of all, everything's burning and everything's in ruins. There's clearly been a fight there. There's clearly been something that's happened, which I'm going to dive into and check out when I see the prequel movie, The Thing. But the first thing they come across that sparks a little bit of an issue was they see an axe with blood on a door. The door appears to be barricaded, so they break through the door and push through. And they're looking around a room. They get a little bit of light in there from a lantern, and there's a guy sitting in a chair. And it appears that the guy sitting in the chair, he unalived himself. He
slit his wrist and his throat.
Because and you're in the Antarctic and they're exposed to elements, so the bloodlets that are frozen.
Yeah, he has blood frozen off of his wrist.
It was one of those cool details you wouldn't normally think of in a movie, and when I saw that, I was impressed. But what got me here was that they proceed to go forward. The doc stays with the body, but McCready says, "There's a couple more rooms I'm going to check out," and he goes solo.
Yeah.
So that was kind of where I'm like, okay, he's by himself. Like, and I didn't think about this till later when they shouldn't have been alone, you know?
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
And they found a giant ice block that something has obviously been removed.
Yeah.
And then from there, well, the doctor finds all those notes, and he's like, there may be important science information on here. So to save all this, they end up finding the spacecraft and where they cut the alien out from.
Did you recognize the spacecraft site
from the prequel?
No, from just in The Thing. Do you recognize where it's been used in another movie?
I don't know if I have. I probably will as soon as you say this.
So it was once I say this, you're gonna know right away. X-Files. So in the X-Files movie, there's an Antarctic scene where
that makes a lot of sense.
The UFO comes up out of the ice and rises, blah, blah, blah. Well, this was because X-Files was so heavily influenced by the thing that they'd used this similar scene. Actually, wait. I got a tidbit out of this. There's more to that. Where are you?
Well, while you're looking, unless you got it right here.
I will find
You got to get through your dad jokes.
Yeah, I do have a lot of dad jokes here. I just realized that. Did it not screenshot? Go ahead.
So, okay, go ahead.
Yes, the X-Files episode Ice was inspired by John W. Campbell's 1938 novella Who Goes There, which was also the inspiration for the 1982 film The Thing. I did not know that, and I reading that last night, that was kind of cool. So, yeah.
And, and talking about The Thing and me talking about how it is like one of my favorite films, I never watched The Thing That Came from Outer Space.
Okay.
Which was essentially where this film came from, too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The uniqueness of the thing in this movie and how it the body shapes and the effects, I think, just it takes it into its own entity, its own creepy factor. So I don't associate it with anything really.
Yeah. Well, and what I was actually going to say while you was looking that up, and this is something that I've read years ago, and for the life of me, I probably should have looked it up to try to find the resource, the reference for this and exactly what happened. But there was like a lot of downtime between, like, I can't remember what films. I think it was between Halloween and maybe They Live or something. And so he had all this extra time to put into special effects and story and everything for the thing, and it shows. It shows through and through that he had that extra time.
So when you get into the spider head, right? The spider head was awesome for the record. The person they're working on whose stomach turns into a giant, like, chomp monster. There's so many different elements of the thing that were amazing. But what I do feel was super lazy and super lucky was when you saw the merging creatures. Because I feel like those happened by mistake. I don't think they were intending on it almost, because it looks so sloppy and lazy, but it also looks so awesome because of how it's trying, when they start building on the story and how this organism is trying to manipulate. If it doesn't have the correct time, it can't form properly, and you see these distorted figures. So it just, I don't know, it works so well.
Yeah.
So it was good.
It's a mess. I mean, you get that when the dog. We get back to the.
Can I pet that dog?
The facility. The dog, actually, you see him go into one of the rooms, and you don't see who he's going into the bedroom with while he's alone. Did you catch that scene? Before they lock the dog, they take the dog to be put in the kennel with the rest of the other dogs. He roams around the facility all day.
Yeah, sorry.
And there's one shot where everybody's kind of off doing their thing, and the dog is just wandering around and looking, and it's the camera's following the dog, and he goes into a room, and all you see is a silhouette of somebody sitting on their bed, and the dog goes in, and then it cuts away.
Another off-camera thing. So to me, like, I look at dogs in a different way. So when I rewatched this last night, first time in so long, I was like, okay, is it because the dog is hypersensitive to what's going on, and he can tell there's, like, these people are infected? Like, I didn't think about it in that respect till he gets put in the kennel with the other dogs.
Yeah. And then that gets us pretty much to the kennel. The dog gets put away. And then that's when you finally see what's going on. And
that is, like, especially for dog lovers out there.
It's a hard scene.
Don't watch the scene.
It's a hard scene.
If you don't want to be traumatized. The way that this dog starts convulsing and twitching, and then all these basically tentacles shoot out to the other dogs, and it's a lot. And the creature that forms out of it, because it's trying to assimilate the dog at this point and learn the genetic coding or whatever of the dog. It was impressive to see the formation it came up with and how it all came together.
Yeah.
And it just kept getting bigger.
Yeah.
So that was also interesting. In this, I think it was the scene just before that, or was it, I don't remember if it was just before that or just after, but Fuchs, he referenced probably one of my all-time favorite sci-fi books, period. I'm a huge Ancient Aliens guy. I love the show Ancient Aliens. I literally fall asleep to it. I've watched that series, all 18 seasons at least that I have access to. I don't know if there's a 19th or 20th yet, but I've watched 18 seasons probably 6 or 7 times over. And Fuchs references, they're talking about aliens, and he goes, chariots of the gods, man. He goes, they own South America. And he's talking about aliens. And I was like, he referenced chariots of the gods. This is amazing. I was so happy. Eric Von Donigut is a genius. But go ahead. Sorry. I like to go off on tangents, apparently.
So from here, you get him merging with the other dogs and assimilating them. McCready, all of them come in. They start shooting, and he's yelling for the flamethrower. They end up burning the whole facility out. So they end up taking this blob, essentially, his concoction of the thing, and these half mutated dogs all assimilated into it, and they basically do an autopsy. And
well, they did the autopsy on the creature, the thing that they brought back from the Norwegian site first.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, they did, actually, yeah.
Yeah. So that was interesting. And the doc, as he's cutting open Blair, as he's cutting open that thing he's pulling out, and he's like, they're all thinking, just based on the look of this thing, 'cause how horrific it is, that it's an alien there. Mm-hmm. But then he starts pulling out, and he's like, these appear to all be normal organs, kidneys, heart, the whole bit, lungs, everything's here. So he starts realizing this is a human.
Yeah.
That's something horrible happen.
Horrible, yeah. So it's at this point that Wilford, he's starting to put 2 and 2 together at this point with the autopsies, though. He's figuring it out, and then he kind of goes batshit crazy.
Real quick, just because I'm trying to remember the timeline, when was the point where McCready's playing chess with the computer? Was that in this stretch?
It was in this stretch.
Because that's a pivotal moment as well. I want to point that out. Okay. So McCready, he comes across like he's a roughneck, or he's like kind of just like the muscle almost, the way he acts, but he's incredibly intelligent, and his reputation as being the level-headed one, and he's playing chess. Stress, Jesus Christ. Well, it is a stressful moment too, but he's playing chess against the computer. And some of the theories I heard going down the rabbit hole of the thing, where that the chess simulation with the computer represents the thing itself and the strategy of how it works. And so in that moment, the computer system cheats to beat him in chess. And when it does that, he pours the J&B whiskey into the computer to fry it out. So I just wanted to incorporate that and bring that in, because there will be more conversation regarding that later. But the doc, though, from here, you're right. He goes really. I don't know who he's even talking to, or if he's just keeping a log. Is he sending this to someone?
I don't even think when he's going crazy. I think he's just.
Well, this is before he's going crazy. This is when he just has done the autopsy. He's understanding how quickly these things can.
Best I remember, he's just keeping a log.
Okay.
At that point. But when he does go crazy and he's yelling, he's just going crazy and spouting out everything.
Well, I don't think he's crazy. I think he's paranoid. So it's a difference to me, because
I would say he goes crazy, but he understands what's happening at this point.
So what he discovers basically is, and it's we're talking Oregon Trail era computers here with the green screen and all that. But somehow he's got a program that shows him how the cells work when they're invading each other within this. So he's watching the cells do this on the screen, and he starts panicking a little bit. And then he starts doing the math and the calculations, because he's got a stopwatch in his hand. He's timing how long it takes to do this, in real time. And he does a calculation based on the population of the Earth. And he said it would take 27,000 hours to have full infection of the entire planet.
Yeah.
And that was so I can understand his paranoia. That's world ending, so.
And he starts smashing everything while he's yelling all his paranoia, and he's shooting. And he's shooting at anybody that tries to get near him, because he knows. He's like, we can't leave here. We can't.
I just put finger guns up, and this motherfucker didn't pew pew. Nothing.
Pew, pew, pew.
Finger guns, motherfuckers.
Bang, bang.
But yeah, so he's shooting off at everyone. He's yelling at everyone. No one knows why he's going
He's
crazy.
shooting off at everyone, huh?
Yes. Because he's just shooting at random. I didn't say he's busting a nut on people. Jesus Christ. Don't listen, kids. Anyways, so yeah, we get through this moment. They finally detain him, get him calmed down. It takes a little bit of work, but they manage to do it. They isolate him.
They lock him in the little shack.
Mm-hmm. And at which point...
I will say, we hadn't got there yet, but there's always been a little bit of a confusing thing for me with this part, even as many times as I've seen it. So, but once we get there, I'll bring it up.
Well, no, take it from there, because you're right. There's a lot of weird, and this is again first watch, so fill in the gaps where I'm not.
Where I'm at is actually further into the movie, but it pertains to the shack.
Okay.
So,
well, I don't remember the next goddamn scene, so that's why I wanted you to take it from there.
Well, basically from here is they lock him up and they start asking about a blood test. They asked the other doctor if there's any kind of a blood test and he said he believed they could be, and he's like, we have blood bags of everybody's blood in the freezer. We can use that.
The actual blood, and then put the infected blood against it, see if it reacts.
Yes. And when they go into the refrigerator to get the blood that's locked up, they open it and all the blood is pouring out and on the floor. So
somebody's already
sabotaged the blood bags.
So there's a moment where Windows, I believe that character, is holding the keys to that. He drops said keys, and off camera again, somebody picks these keys up and gets access to that.
Yeah.
So there's one of these guys is already clearly infected.
Yes. And so at this point, but now they're looking at the captain and the doctor, and
I'm the captain now.
And they're like, well, he's the one that has the keys, and he's the only one that opens this fridge. So at this point, they're putting their paranoia on those two and the guy who takes care of the dogs, because
Clark, I think, right?
Yes, because Wilton tells him as soon before he leaves, he tells McCready, keep an eye on Clark. It is Clark, yeah. Keep an eye on Clark, because he had been around the infected dog.
I don't know. Yeah, sorry, drawing a blank here.
Well, at this point, they burn the blood bags. They tie up those three, and they shoot them with morphine.
Yes, okay.
To kind of
I do remember
level them out so they're not as aggressive.
I like when they do the blood test on these guys. They're sitting on the couch, though. Because there's one specific guy, what's his name? Donald Moffat is the actor. He played Gary.
Yeah.
He's kind of got the old school kind of military uniform on.
Yeah.
And I just have to, I'm skipping ahead a little bit here, but not a lot, where when he tests negative, he's like, I would really like it if I didn't have to spend the entire fucking winter on this couch. The way he says it, I'm like, that is gold. That was great. Because it was a genuine, that was one of those great acting moments where you just saw genuine pissed off, get me out of here.
Yeah. Because he knows, he's thinking, I'm sitting next to somebody who's infected. Get me the fuck out of here. But yeah, at this point, to get where you're at, they decide to, they know the thing reacts to fire. And so they McCready decides to heat up a copper wire and stick it into their blood.
So it shows instinctively a response, so we can see what happens.
Yes, so.
Which is very interesting, by the way, because before we had the infected blood versus the actual blood as the basically testing zone, and now to go to that was kind of intriguing to me, because I wasn't expecting the result that happened when they did find one infected.
Yeah.
That popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
A nice little jump scare for not seeing it for a long time.
And the one thing, you talk about how the whiskey and questioning who's infected because of the whiskey, but you got McCready that does cut himself here.
Where?
And
where?
Okay.
He's not on camera. There's only 2 cuts that happen on camera, and that's where. So to me, all right, I'm gonna go in here. I don't care. I'm going way ahead of this here, but there are 2 possible outcomes here. MacReady's been it all along. He's been the thing all along, or he's not, and he's the survivor. Mm-hmm. I sadly, when we get there, and I'll explain why, I'm leaning towards he's been it all along. That's my thought. Is that where you're at?
Oh yes.
Okay. So
yes,
okay.
Yes.
And
the main theory, just to go ahead and put it out there, the main theory is that Childs is the thing at the end, not MacReady.
That's the main theory,
that's the main theory.
But I'm going to be honest. I think they both are.
Yes.
Yes.
However,
well, we'll get there. There's a lot to do. That ending is so huge on so many levels to me. And you know what's cool about that is we're all left to sit here and wallow in our theories and our thoughts, but Carpenter won't fucking answer anyone. Yeah. He keeps diverting around the question. And mind you, this Carpenter says this is his personal favorite film out of all that he's done. So he wants that that allure. He wants that imagination. He does not want to give it away. But yeah, so let's go back here though. So we've got the scene where they're doing the testing, which I think even that skipped ahead a little bit. If you know, we kind of jumped a little bit there. There's a whole sequence of events that happens where they're already convinced MacReady is it when he comes back from being out in the snow. Yeah,
and he breaks back in, and actually the guy, the one scientist, they find him burned because the power goes out. They find him burned, but he had already found a ripped up jacket that said MacReady.
Mm-hmm.
And when they find him, he sends the one guy back in.
Hold on. I know where is he?
And him and
T.K. Carter, Knowles.
Yeah.
He's the one who was out tied up with MacReady.
Yes.
And he says he cut the line.
They go to MacReady's shack because the lights are on. He actually says, "We're going to my shack." And he said, "Why?" He said, "Because the lights are on, and I cut the lights. I let them off yesterday." Yeah. So they go up there, but you don't see what happens in this shack.
No.
Only thing you see
off
is
camera shit.
All you see is he gets back, and he says, "I cut him loose because I found this in the stove, and it was the jacket that said MacReady. It was all ripped up." And that's one thing that MacReady actually had found out and was talking about earlier was when the thing assimilates, the clothing that you're wearing is basically ripped up and can be left behind. And a lot of your objects are actually thrown out too. So like if you have earrings on, it doesn't reassimilate the earrings or things of that nature. So they think at this point MacReady is the thing. So MacReady breaks into the storage window because they've locked all the doors, locked him out. And while he's in there, he's duct tape a whole bundle of dynamite together with,
and he's basically threatening to blow them all up if they do anything to him because he's trying to prove that he's not the thing to a whole different level. Honestly,
yeah, he's telling them like, look, we are all going to go. Yeah, if any of us are infected and y'all want to come at me, we're all going because you are vibrating.
No, just making sure it's not at work. Now you are.
Am I vibrating now? I shouldn't be vibrating. I'm not vibrating. Oh, I bet it's my phone way over there.
Ah, it wasn't me. Well, part of it was me. I know these.
I think you did have one.
Did go off.
However, I'm not going over there and getting my phone. We're recording. They can wait. So yeah, he's basically saying, "Fuck it, I'll kill us all." You know, I'll tell you, I'll prove to you right now, I'm not the thing.
Which, inadvertently, to me, it's just no different than the Petri dish. It's an instinctual survival mechanism. So I looked at it like that. So,
and then this is where we actually get to the blood test where we was, and when he finally gets to the blood that reacts. Yeah, it completely shoots out of the little sample disc tray, and then you see what was his name?
Which one?
The one that actually mutates in this scene. It's
that was Fuchs.
Yeah. He mutates and it turns into all hell. The one guy has a flamethrower. McCready's saying, burn him, because his flamethrower's not working now, conveniently. So he gets eaten. Then all of a sudden, McCready's flamethrower starts working again.
So some things are adding up here.
Yeah.
I do find it funny that in almost all scenes leading up to the disappearance of McCready, the J&B is always present.
Mm-hmm.
So that I'm keeping that to the forefront because it's going to come back around. So,
well, let's get to the one epic scene. Actually, you know what? I believe that the epic scene comes before the blood test, and we skipped it because the one guy. Yes, because the one guy, he falls and McCready's in the storage room and he hits his head, and they basically said he's not breathing. They take him to the infirmary and put him on the table, and the doc is doing CPR, and then he gets the paddles out and starts shocking him.
Yep.
And then he goes to shock, and his whole chest opens up with teeth and bites both of his arms off.
But it opens, and it's midway when he's ready to push down. And when he's throwing his arms in, that's when the stomach chest opens, and his arms go in, and all the way up to just below the elbow on both arms, this thing chomps off. So it's quite impressive.
Yeah. And a random fun fact about this scene. The stunt double for this scene was a double amputee. Because he wanted it to look so real when the arms came off. He hired a double amputee that didn't have both of his arms from the elbow down to do that special effect.
I'm going to ask something that no one ever has the balls to ask. I don't care. I have to do this. I have to know. If you are a double amputee, I gotta know, how do you wipe, guys? Let me know, please, because this is a burning question that sits inside of me, and it's one of those ignorant things that we don't know. I don't know. I can't imagine not having. Anyways, back to the movie. Proud that he hired the double amputee, though. That's good.
Yeah, no, it came off as a great effect.
Yeah, that's attention to detail for sure.
And at this point, that's when McCready starts burning the body, but the head rips off, and you get the
slowly.
Spot.
That's the best part about this. So the head has now detached from the body, and it's like this slow, like it's just ripping away slowly, and it keeps going back further off the table, back further slowly. All of a sudden, it falls down, and then you start seeing the spider legs happen, and I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
I felt.
So you have a spider head, you have a human head with spider legs, and it runs past. Well, then they see it. McCready burns it up, and then it actually from there. I think from there is when it goes to the blood test. So they're burning everybody, but now they know who's infected and who's not, and they've burned everybody who is infected. And so now they've built somewhat of a trust with the remaining people. Or
the illusion of trust.
There's still a lot of paranoia. So, and it doesn't say, and this is going to go back to what I was talking about a minute ago, that I've always had questions in this little spot here. There has to be a time jump. Because when they go back to the shack where
I'm mixing up something else we watched.
Where Wilford is.
Diabetes?
Yeah.
Blair.
I'll call him Wilford. He's gone.
Okay, well, so let's rewind that. Let's rewind that. Let's slow that down. So when they go into the shack originally, there is a liquor bottle in there and a noose, as well.
Yes, and this is actually we have to backtrack back before. Yeah. This is before they suspect McCready. I actually forgot about this scene, and this is actually a great scene. I meant to bring this up, so I'm glad you backtracked. This scene with Wilford, he opens the door to ask if he's seen that scientist they're looking for that they end up finding that was burned. And Wilford is sitting there saying, "Let me back in. I'm well now. I'm good."
No, not yet. not yet.
That's where he says it at.
No, it's later.
No.
Yeah, because it's at the end when he just slides the thing open. No, wait. Maybe
No, it is right here.
Well, let's backtrack a little further than that, though. There's a sequence where McCready goes in with him, though, and he drinks off of the Smirnoff bottle.
He does, yes.
So if he's the thing, and at this point, Blair is denying he's the thing. He's completely committed to unaliving himself because his noose is in the scene.
He does. He drinks from the bottle, puts it down, and leaves. Then when he comes back,
this is where everything changes. Demeanor.
This is where that's what I was going to say, and that's kind of where I was going with this. This is where he changes. You're right. Yes, because when they initially put him in there, he gives him a whiskey bottle. He drinks from it, puts it down. And
I knew based on his insistence upon the same line over and over that he was infected by saying, "Let me out, let me out, let me out." Yes. It was almost like this repetition of I have to survive, flight or flight.
Yes. So. And there's going to be a reason we're talking about this whiskey bottle so much.
Or the alcohol in general.
Or the alcohol, yeah. So when we come back, there's a noose. And you see a noose hanging there, like Wilford was going to hang himself. But, however, he's sitting there talking to McCready through the door going, I'm good now, I'm fine, let me out, let me back in the facility. And McCready just closes it back, and goes on from there. Then when we come back the third time.
Now he's gone.
He's gone. And this is why I believe that it doesn't say, but I believe there is a substantial time jump in this winter, because when he comes back, I mean, obviously there's a basement dug out, and he's built a machine to try to get out of there. He started building a machine in the basement of that shack.
But it doesn't, so that I don't know what to think with that one, with the time jump and how much of a time jump, because the way that the story is going on with the people in the base, though, it's almost like nothing happened, but simply with him, it has. So I don't know if the organisms act faster. I don't know. No, because this has to have been going on for a while, actually. Maybe
has to be.
Because he was taking the gear out of the helicopter, out of the tractor, everything.
Yes. So this has always been a confusing part of the movie for me. It's the one part outside of how you interpret the ending that is always confused me, because I guess people are so used to being told 3 weeks later or 6 years later, and we know it's not 6 years later. And I think there's a time jump. I don't think it's years. I think it's weeks.
I don't think it's that much. I think it's like 48 hours.
And it may be. But there is a time jump, because Wilford has built the bulk of this machine, taking parts off of the helicopter, off of the tractors and vehicles, and he's making his own vehicle.
So this brings in, so maybe you can help me with this one. So is the organism one organism? Is it many organisms? Is it hive mind? How is this? That's the parts that confuse me. So if that be the case, there's access to this tunnel from all of them if they're working together. So that in that aspect, I can't say there might have been a huge jump if they're working together to make this thing so they can get off this.
I think any way you look at it, I think there still has to be at least a couple day time jump, at least. But regardless,
that is a good point too, just to understand like the timeline, how it flows. Like, this could be going on over the course of a week, and we don't know, but it almost seems like it's within a few hours sometimes until you see that build. Yeah.
So at this point, they find this vehicle that he is building to get out of there, because that is the main goal of the thing, is to survive and to assimilate. So they are getting ready to drop dynamite down into the hole when they see Childs. They left Childs at the facility, and they see him come out with a flamethrower and run off into the snow. And so they drop the dynamite, blow up the shed, and go back because all the power goes out. And he says, the generator. And then basically he says at this point, we're not getting out of here. We're going to have to burn this thing, kill it, because it wants to freeze itself.
You're missing something else.
What am I missing?
Over something. When McCready goes down into the hole and he sees the ship, and what comes up at him after that, the thing comes up as a much larger thing. I was actually that was one of the things that threw me off, is how these things grow.
That's further ahead.
I thought that was this
nope,
part.
Nope. No.
Okay.
Because I'm talking about where he blows the shed up, where the vehicle is.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then that's when they see Childs leave the main facility and run out into the snow, and they make the decision there we have to kill this thing. We have to burn it out, kill it, because at this point it will kill us all or assimilate us and freeze itself and wait to be picked up because it can survive the cold.
Right.
And that's a key thing here, especially for the ending for me with my theory. It can survive the cold.
So we're gonna have it's a very similar theory, thought process here, because there's a big red flag for me that points out why McCready's it.
And so they blow up the shed and they go into the main facility. At this time, they start throwing Molotovs and bombs in every room. They're going room to room and blowing out and burning out every room. Then this is when they go to the basement of the main facility where the generator is. And McCready says, we got to go down there. And they get down there. The generator is gone. Completely gone. So McCready tells them, we got to bring this whole facility down. So the captain and what's his name? Knowles is putting the dynamite on all through the basement. There, essentially a basement under the facility, while McCready is wiring the detonator. Then this is when you see Wilford again. He finally pops up, and he gets the captain first. Sticks his hand into the guy's face. Into his face.
Yeah, he treats the guy's face like it's a fucking bowling ball.
Yeah,
like he has the fingers under the skin there, like completely. Yeah.
And then he starts walking, and it's like his hand has just completely absorbed into his face as he's pulling him. And then you don't see Knowles actually get it. It don't actually show. It shows something was going to happen. Then it cuts back to McCready. Then McCready's yelling for everybody, and then he lights the dynamite and stands there with the flare. And then that's when the big monster kind of does a Tremors thing and blows through the ground.
And by the way, longest fuse on a stick of dynamite ever.
Yeah, that fuse lasts like a minute and a half.
But here is an interesting thing that I didn't pick up on at first. When that thing blows through, it knocks him down, and I swear to God, he's talking to the thing. He says, "Fuck you too," or "Fuck you something." He says to him, but it was almost like they had a conversation happening.
Almost, yeah. He gets the dynamite back, and he picks it up, and like I said, he basically says, "Fuck you," throws it, runs up the steps, boom, and then the rest of the dynamite starts going off, and the whole facility comes down. At this point, you see McCready walking through all the wreckage and rubble with his bottle of J&B whiskey, sits down. He's covered in ice, fire all around him. Then you see Childs shows up, and he has his flamethrower still, and he sits down. They have a conversation for a minute. Now, do we want to talk about our theories as we go into this or after?
I mean, let's give what actually happens, and then we'll dissect it.
So, Childs says, it's really hot. It's not going to last long. And McCready says, they go back and forth and say, I don't know if you're the thing. Well, I don't know if you're the thing. And I'm too tired to deal with it, essentially. And
what do we do?
Yeah, Childs is like, what do we do? And McCready's like, well, let's just sit here and wait for a while. The end.
Literally, the end. And so we don't get a solution, a resolution. We don't know what happens. We don't know who was actually the thing, and all of the fandom of this movie were left to speculate, which hence why we have theories.
So the popular theory is at the end when McCready and Childs are there in front of each other. If you notice, you really don't see Child's breath. He has no cold breath, but McCready, you see his breath just blowing everywhere in the cold air. And the main theory is that because of that, they believe that Childs is the thing. That's always the more popular theory that I've always heard.
So I'm gonna get a little sciencey here. I may be wrong, but this is my speculation on this.
Well, I disagree.
I disagree as well. I think that you have temperature, basically a temperature, because of all the surrounding fire. I feel maybe Childs is warm enough where there's not, it's changed literally the temperature of the air all around them. So maybe because McCready's sitting on the ground and he is right in the ice, and I don't know if because he's higher up, the way it looks like Childs is higher up.
Well, Childs sits down, but
he is just. Well, he's run from wherever he came from. The fire's all around, so there's displacement of temperature, in my opinion, and so we don't see the breath in him. Now, to discredit the theory that it's Childs because of that and McCready's breathing, if McCready is the thing, which is our kind of what we're thinking, they have breath anyways, because when the one guy, what the hell's his name? The guy that had like kind of the snake head, almost the Beetlejuice looking one. Mm-hmm. When that popped off, that guy was breathing steam everywhere. So
yes.
I don't think that has credence at all. Now let me ask you this question. I heard somebody say that there might have been petrol in the bottle. Did you hear that?
I've heard that.
Somebody said there might have been that McCready was intentionally trying to give petrol to Childs to see if he flinched.
Yeah, and that's part of the theory. That with the idea that Childs is the thing is, and that's why McCready giggles.
Well, I have two theories with the laugh.
So I get why people think Childs is the thing, and especially if you base it off, they had all those Molotovs, and that. It was actually gas that was one of the Molotov bottles, and it was actually gas in it.
That's why. Okay.
That McCready gives Childs the bottle, he drinks it, and then that's why he giggles, because he knows at that point that he is the thing, because the thing didn't know the difference between alcohol and gasoline.
Or since he's handing this bottle off the whole movie, he hands it over to him and laughs now because he knows he's been affected because he didn't follow the rule.
That is my theory.
So
my theory is this is kind of like what you've been alluding to this whole time, is the fact that McCready has been infected since the beginning of the film. And
well, before you go further, if you were to put a timestamp on when you think he got infected, when would you put that?
Right at the beginning.
When they went to the Norwegian camp? When they went in the other rooms?
I think it was right when the gunshot.
Really?
Like you said, yeah.
How?
I think because he's drinking between that guy, and like you said, the guy's glove.
Did he drink after that, though?
I believe so. And he was always drinking. So that was my theory, was he actually got infected from a contaminated bottle. So, and you see the steps, you see things throughout, and it always kind of allude that he is, but it also alludes that everybody is the thing throughout the entire film. But the ending for me, when we finally get to the ending, is when you see Childs sit down, he's covered in sweat. You don't see his breath. You see nothing but fire around McCready and Childs. So my thought process is it's hot. And that's why you don't see Child's breath, because it's too hot to see his breath. And he's sweating.
Temperature displacement. Yeah.
And McCready, you're seeing his breath, and I think it's because the thing is trying to replicate what it knows. Because that's the only thing it understands, is it replicates what it does know and what it does to try to survive. And I think it was replicating the breath because when they're outside, it always showed their breath.
Right.
And I think it was trying to replicate. So that's one of my theories on part of one of my theories on why it's MacReady. And also it goes back to MacReady is the one that infected Wilford, which is why Wilford became assimilated because with the J&B bottle whenever he gave it to Wilford. So still in this scene, Childs also still has his earring. And it doesn't assimilate like jewelry and stuff.
Okay.
At the end. So when MacReady gives him the bottle, I think he's giggling because he knows he just infected Childs.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely what I thought too.
Yeah, and the fact that MacReady is the one is sitting there going, well, they're going back and forth saying, well, what do we do? And he says, well, let's just wait it out. Because he knows if they sit there and wait it out, they're going to freeze. They're going to freeze to death, but he's not going to die because he is the thing. They can sustain the cold, and he will be there whenever the rescue team does show up months later.
So my only thing that I will counter you with, my thoughts are that the infection happened when he went to the Norwegian camp and he was alone. And the only reason I say that is because Bennings, if he had gotten infected from that swig with the saliva on the glove, he would have turned a lot sooner. When Bennings goes down and he gets burned, he's still forming. And that was a little bit later. So I think that he got infected a little bit later, and I still think all the exact items happened.
I will say I agree and I disagree, especially what really makes my mind go to this is, and I hate to throw the prequel into this, but there's, at the very beginning of the prequel, there's actually they're in a lab showing samples of infected blood and it being assimilated under the microscope. Mm-hmm. And when I saw that, that's really when it clicked on me that it could be at any time, because I don't think that he's going to go through like a mass change that couldn't be concealed, because it does happen rapidly, but it under a microscope through a smaller, so you're not being ingested and assimilated. It actually gets into your bloodstream, into your body, and it actually changes you on a cellular level.
That's what they showed us.
A cell
in
at a
this
time.
one.
Yes, and they do. Yeah. They really show it better in the prequel, though. And it shows it on a cellular level of it actually going through the bloodstream and changing you slowly. And that's why I always felt like it could always be MacReady, even from the beginning of the film.
So,
because he don't have to mutate, he can stay concealed as long as they don't know that it's him.
Well, that's one of the reasons I was asking the question of how many entities come off this one organism. Does it reproduce like that in individual organisms, or does it stay one whole hive-minded? So
yeah, I don't know if it's a hive mind. I believe it can spread out into multiple organisms for sure, but now if they have somewhat of a hive mind or whatnot, it never dives into that.
Where I'm going with it, though, is MacReady could be patient zero. That could be like the main source of the others.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like he was infected at the beginning.
Another thing I noticed is as we got halfway into the movie, when MacReady disappears out in the snow and he comes back, I'm almost of the mindset that maybe something happened where if that's the case, where the organism can take a while to completely take over, I'm almost of the mindset that maybe that midway point when he disappeared was when that might have started really happening, because he's so discolored from being out in the elements. He's almost looks like he's a frozen corpse for the rest of the movie. He's like pale white, looks like his eyes are frosted over. Like he definitely looked like he was not himself.
Could be. Yeah, I don't know. We'll never know. We have theories, and we can go with any one of them.
But that's one of the best things of this movie. Like that's what kind of made this movie an amazing movie, an amazing second watch for me after years. Just having that unknown factor with how the organism works, and not knowing the actual outcome of the ending is kind of superb storytelling for me. Choose your own adventure, if you will.
Yeah, and it's why it's actually one of my all-time favorite films. Yeah, top 5.
Sometimes some of the best storytelling, as we found out in this, is off camera, and also it's left to the audience to decide. And I think that Carpenter nailed it here.
So another random fun fact about this: Childs, also played by Keith David, who I fucking love. Keith David,
he's great.
He is a fantastic actor. This is his very first film.
Oh, really?
This is Keith David's very first film.
He did great.
And yeah, he's fantastic. And he's fantastic and just as great in this as he is in everything.
He's one of those people who, like, you can, outside of his gray hair for his aging, you wouldn't know he was aging, because the dude's like, he just doesn't grow, he doesn't get older except for his gray hair. But he also took over for, I believe it was him. Was it him that took over for Zavala in Destiny after Lance passed away?
I never.
So Destiny is a solid video game, and the
probably though, because he does a lot of voice acting.
Well, the black gentleman from he's been in Umbrella Corp. He's been Resident Evil TV series. He was in John Wick. He's the concierge at the hotel. That gentleman did the voice for Zavala in the game Destiny, and he passed away, as we all know. And so he was awesome. He was great, but I believe it's Keith David who took over for him.
He probably did, because he does a lot of voice. He's done gargoyles and all kinds of different voice acting.
Ryan, you're an idiot, because you have this wonderful thing in your hand called IMDb.
IMDb with Keith David right there.
Oh, he was Frank in They Live?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
He did the fight scene the amazing fight scene between him and Piper in They Live.
He's indeed the voice of Zavala in Destiny. That's amazing.
Another random fact: there was several different takes supposedly for the ending of the thing, and basically it says they shot the scenes where McCready and Child had survived, but they wasn't sure if either was affected. They shot the moment several times, including takes where it was clear neither were infected, and then there was a more ambiguous take where neither knows, and then there was another one where you never know. No one actually knows if Child's or regardless which one's infected. So there was multiple endings shot. And I think they shot it every way so they could just decide at the end, and that was what Carpenter decided to go with, and he's probably never going to tell us.
No, and I don't think he should. I don't want it.
Yeah, and there is a new DVD coming out called The Thing Expanded. I know and the thing is, you can't pre-order it on like any website.
The thing is,
it's you can't pre-order it on any website other than the Thing Expanded website. So I'm not sure exactly what all it's going to include, but I'm actually very interested in picking it up.
For the deleted scenes, if nothing else, or any other cuts.
Yeah.
I'm reading some facts on IMDb, and it has become tradition in British and Arctic research stations to watch The Thing as part of their midwinter feast and celebration held every 21st of June. That's crazy.
There's a lot of random facts about this film.
This impacts the last scene we were talking about. Kurt Russell took a drag on a cigarette at the beginning of certain shots in order to make the breath appear more visible.
Yes,
so that could have been that, because if Keith David didn't, there you go. That's the answer. So yeah, there's some interesting little fun tidbits for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of random facts with this film and our next film that we're going to be doing too. So, because they're both they've both been around for years, and I think there's a good story behind both of these films. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Numbers. Did you get to look at the numbers on this film?
I didn't, but I accidentally did after you and I were chatting beforehand. So it was considered a flop, but it made money, just very little.
Yeah, and it's weird. Like, I know everything I looked at said basically the budget. Excuse me. The budget for this was somewhere between 10 and 15 million.
It's got estimated 15 million on IMDb.
And not that one. I'm on the wrong page. The box office numbers, and I honestly found two separate numbers on two separate box office number sites. One actually says this movie only made about 15 million, and then the other says this movie made about 20 million. It made 19 million domestic and almost 800,000 international.
Yeah, that's exactly what I read. So I think that's what at least IMDb has as well.
Yeah, so it's not a lot of money, but this movie made a lot of money on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray. This movie had a massive cult following after it left theaters.
I would put this up there, when we talk about cult classic films, I would put this up there as easily the best or one of the all-time best cult classics. Because it's one of those ones that people liked it, and if they were a horror genre, but as the years progressed, it just developed this following. And people who are like us nerding out about what theories we have at the ending and enjoying the story too.
Yeah, this isn't like, oh, this movie's so bad it became a cult classic. This movie became a cult classic literally because it's so fucking good, and people slept on it in the theater.
Let's be real. Like right now, there's so much coming out, and people just aren't going to the theaters because it's become so expensive. There's a lot of films that are going to show up as flops coming out, and there's a lot of films that 10, 15, 20 years down the road are going to be the next cult classics.
Well, let's look at my favorite movie of the year.
Furiosa. I have not seen it yet.
It's considered and it was. It wasn't a complete bomb, but it bombed at the box office. I mean, it lost some money, but that movie to me it's been I don't know if it's the best movie I've seen all year. I probably has, but for the summer blockbusters, it is the best movie I've seen all year.
I think there is a huge, I'll finish up with this and then we'll go into our ratings, but I do think there's a huge issue with movie theaters and how Hollywood is pushing the narrative of seeing movies. I think there's a good hype and a good push with these themed popcorn buckets coming out and giving people reasons to go back to the theaters, but they're missing something. Something's not there. I think we were close to it when you had pandemic era where people could buy shit online and watch it in the comfort of their home. But there's got to be a middle ground there where the actors feel they're reaping the rewards correctly and that we can get people back into the theater somehow. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to see that happen because, man, I went around trying to find a copy of The Thing last night, and I went to like 4 or 5 different stores, and the lack of physical media that's out there anymore is disheartening and sick.
No, it sucks because Best Buy doesn't really carry anything. Target's cut theirs down to nothing. Yep. Walmart is kind of still the best and the big retailers, but they've cut theirs back too.
Like one aisle cap.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the Walmarts, and it's hit and miss. I've been in Walmarts where it's just an end cap, but then I've been in Walmarts across the country that still have like one whole big aisle. So Walmart is still the better of the big retailers, but it's disgusting that we're losing places to go buy physical media. And not to say, I get everybody's on digital now. I buy digital. I mean,
I don't.
I buy digital. No, I mean, I buy both, but I mean, I buy digital because I'm on the road so much. And I like having digital media because where I'm on the road so much touring, I can open my iPad or phone and watch whatever movie I want to watch. But I love physical media. And just like the next movie we're getting ready to do, I watched it last night because, yes, could I watched it on HBO Max? Yes. But I didn't want to watch that version because it's the theatrical version. I watched a special edition version of the next film we're doing because the only way you can watch it is off of that physical media.
Shit, you went down. I forgot what I was going to say because what I was going to say.
I ranted about physical media.
No, it's good though. It's on that plane. Oh, the digital aspect. What I also loved was for a minute they had that window where you could buy your 4K deluxe versions, your whole bit, and it would have a digital copy on there.
And I still prefer to buy the physical ones that have the digital code.
That's a win for me. But if I'm just buying, like, to me, like, I don't know, I haven't had to do it, but all the shit I've bought on Prime, like, if I cancel my Prime, do I lose all that? Like, I don't know how that works. So,
I don't know.
Stuff's all concerning.
I only buy through Movies Anywhere or Apple TV or Vudu.
For those of you that aren't in the Ohio area, we're in Ohio, northeastern Ohio, and we had quite a few tornadoes roll through last week, and that's another thing too. Like, if I don't have power, I don't have digital media, so I want to have things I can watch without that. But we're rolling into a little over an hour here, so we'll wrap this up here.
You go first.
Yeah,
I picked it,
right.
so you go first.
We went on a turn the one time and it threw me all off. So
yeah, it's because James fucks us up when he's here.
33 years since I watched this last. And going back into it with fresh eyes, the effects held up. The acting was great. One of the things I got to give credit to Carpenter for doing with all of his movies is he can take a little bit and make it go a long way. And I really appreciate that too. The story's there that leaves your imagination open to kind of wander into what you think things are going to be. I'm going to go with a solid flat 4 here for me. No, I'm going to go higher than that. I'm going to go 4.5 nerds, because this is an amazing film. It is start to finish. I really, outside of a couple little things, I can't really bitch about it. So 4.5 nerds.
So for me, and the thing with John 1980s John Carpenter. Let's just talk about this as I go into my rating. In my eyes, 1980s John Carpenter could do no wrong and did no wrong. Every film that he did in the 80s were masterpieces. That being said, The Thing is my favorite of all of them.
Are we going to get it?
It is my favorite above Halloween. It is my favorite above Prince of Darkness. It is my favorite above Big Trouble in Little China. Blah, blah, blah. Every John Carpenter film. If I rate, the only perfect 5 I've ever given was Scream. If I rate Scream because of my love for that film out of 5, and The Thing is within the top 5 movies of all time for me, The Thing is absolutely 100% a perfect 5.
I knew it! I love when we get this. The second time we got that. Wait, so out of JP, the second time he's done it, I think I've done. Have I done?
I think
2?
You've done it twice.
I've done twice as well. James, I don't think he's done anything in a perfect 5, has he?
No,
I don't remember.
He grumbles about everything.
Yeah, I mean, but to be fair, when he's not here, it kind of takes him and I are a lot more in agreement than what James would be. So I like that James throws us off with that.
We've had a couple that I didn't hate them or you didn't hate them, but we fell a point short, of each other, where you might have rated something at a 3.8 and I went to a 3 or something, So there's been a little bit of variance, but no, there's been a lot where we've kind of rated it close to the same.
And then there's the ones where James and JP think that my movie sucked. Like, I heart Huckabees. I didn't want to say I thought he would have.
Well, I decided, and I was thinking about this after our last recording. I think when I do my ratings, especially for films that I rate low, I'm going to do a secondary ranking, not even a number ranking, but a ranking in do I recommend to watch this film. Okay. Because I can rate something. Well, let's do The Party Animal, for example. I rated The Party Animal. It was my pick, but I rated 1 point something, I believe, like 1.8, because I know it's a shit movie. Absolutely, it's no way I could rate The Party Animal a 4 or a 5. However, do I recommend you watch it? I do, because I fucking love the film. I think it's a great watch. But I can also rate it at a shitty score. So I think some of these films I may start actually saying, even though I'm rating it low, I'm going to give it a recommend to watch or not recommend to watch. I Heart Huckabees is a not recommend.
And Party Animal, you can definitely live without watching that one. Don't worry about it. I'll save you the trauma. that aside, do you have anything you're watching currently that you should recommend to anyone?
I will be real with you. I've not been watching any more TV series. I just finished House of Dragon.
I haven't watched the new season. I want to see it though.
I just finished the new season of House of Dragon. It took me like an extra week or so to watch it, and it's probably going to be a month or so before you actually hear me say this, because this episode will probably be a little while before we release it. And yeah, the only other thing I've been watching was I started watching. I watched Prince of Darkness, which I mentioned earlier, and last night I started rewatching, because I picked it up for $5 on Vudu Digital, Rawhead Rex. Clive Barker's Rawhead Rex.
For me, I actually took a break away from my normal horror sci-fi stuff, and I went into the action realm. I just watched all of the Jack Reacher seasons, or Reacher. And
I was at my daughter's house, and my son-in-law was watching the Jack Reacher series.
The series is great. I love it. But in that vein, though, Jack Reacher 1 and 2 with Tom Cruise dropped on Netflix for free to watch, and I started watching the first one again, and I appreciated it. It's not bad. So check out the Jack Reachers if you are a action person.
There you go.
Cool. If you guys are curious to check on us or inquire or send us suggestions, 3cinenerds@gmail.com is our email. And then for your audible listening pleasures, sorry, I laughed too hard when I said that. For your audible listening pleasures, on our bio on Facebook, you can see our link tree, which has all the links to our sites you can hear us.
Like, share, write a review.
Every time it's different.
I'm consistent in not being consistent, guys. Write a review. Want to read them, want to see them, and please share and invite your friends. Let's continue to build this. I've noticed, because I look at our statistics daily, and one thing I've noticed the past couple weeks is we've had a lot of new listeners, and going back and listening to old episodes and moving into new episodes. So if you're a new listener, go invite your friends, share, come in and write us a review. We get some reviews built up. I do want to start reading those more consistently. So
awesome. Please leave those reviews, though. I do want to hear about those, and please share this. Help us spread our ramblings out there to the world. And that's it. CineNerds out.
Later.